Hello everyone, my name is Mike and we're back again with another reaction video, this time to the fourth video in the mini wars series that OverSimplified do, and to my knowledge of looking through their channel it seems to be the last current one of the mini war series, and this is about the Emu War. Now I know a little bit about this just through kind of general talk, you know, how much of a joke it really is that the Australian government lost the war to a bunch of flightless birds. Obviously it's a lot more complex than that. It's after the First World War and kind of a coal gone wrong, but it is quite an entertaining funny little event. But I don't actually know the ins and outs of it. I don't know how it develops, and I don't know if there was a second one, if they actually managed to get the coal on the emus done in the end, because that's what it was for, is the emus were kind of becoming an invasive species, eating too much of the farmers' crops, and so the attempt was to cull them, essentially, to help with that, and the government had some issues, which I'm sure we're about to see. But that's about all that I know of it, so it'll be a learning experience for me just as much as it is for you guys, and yeah, I'm looking forward to doing this. As always though, please head over to the OverSimplified channel. They are the ones who make this content. I just talk over it, I just ramble over it, I occasionally stutter because I can't speak English apparently. So please head over there, support them, give them a subscription, give them a like, give them a comment, whatever you want to do. But also, if you have any feedback for me, or obviously if you like this video, like this types of content, then please let me know. Let me know what I'm doing right, let me know what I'm doing wrong, because I want to grow this channel. I want it to be the best that it can possibly be, and the only way I'm going to do that is by listening to you guys. So without further ado, let's get into it, shall we?
This is Australia. For the man who imagines being strangled by a tarantula while a kangaroo breaks his kneecaps and thinks, yes please. For the man who pictures himself being eaten by a snake in the burning outback while eating a Vegemite sandwich and thinks, yes please. And that man was Governor Arthur Phillip, who landed in Eastern Australia in 1788, presumably saw a dingo being eaten by a crocodile, being eaten by a death adder, being eaten by a koala, being eaten by Mel Gibson, and thought to himself, yes. Good. Now I know what you're thinking, but oversimplified, the British didn't discover Australia, the Vikings did. And you'd be wrong. I'm not sure why you'd think that.
Yeah.
But hey, if you love Vikings so much, then why don't you check out today's sponsor? Vikings War of Clans was inspired by the PC strategy and RPG games of the 90s we all loved, like Age of Empires and Civilization.
I don't know if I'm annoyed by that segue into this advert or not, to be honest. I mean, that was quite a good segue.
Vikings lets you choose your own playstyle, and what makes its world so addictive is that more than 20 million online players are constantly.
And again, the reasons why sometimes people ask about why don't I skip these or why don't I cut the adverts out is because at the end of the day, they're another thing to help support out OverSimplified, and anything I can do to help support OverSimplified, whether that be through having adverts on while I'm watching their videos, or allowing his own kind of in adverts to play out in the middle of videos, is again to support them, because they're the ones who make the content. They deserve it, and they deserve all the support that they can get. So that's just in case you're wondering, that's why I don't skip them. But yeah, let's back into the actual video now.
Buy! Man, this is great. The market will continue to grow forever. But what if it doesn't? Oh crap, I never thought of that. Sell! And the stock market crashed, which led to economic downturn, which meant banks wouldn't lend anyone any money, which led to more economic downturn, which meant everyone stopped buying stuff, which led to more economic downturn. And hey, what if all the crops in the Great Plains were destroyed in a drought, and then a big dust storm engulfed the area? That's right, more economic downturn. And in an effort to combat the crisis, America began imposing tariffs on foreign imports, which made the economic downturn go global, and the earth got really depressed.
Yeah, and it's a bit like the old saying is when it comes to economics, that when America sneezes, the rest of the world catches a cold, and that's kind of what the Great Depression kind of was. You know, the American stock market crashed, and it kind of caused this tidal wave effect across the rest of the world, which again, many people point towards that was a major contributing factor into the rise of different ideologies, such as socialism, communism, and fascism themselves, respectively, in gaining so much traction because of how dire some things were.
But one nation that was hit harder than most by the whole affair, Australia. The problem for Australia was that it relied heavily on its export industries, and in the current economic climate, no one was buying. To make things worse, Australia had introduced its own currency and pegged it onto the gold standard via the British pound, but then the UK started messing with its own peg on the gold standard, and if this is starting to sound confusing, then let me oversimplify it for you. Hey UK, looks like my car's broken down. Want to give me a tow? No problem, friend. I got you. More economic downturn.
Yeah.
The point I'm trying to make is things weren't good, and in particular, it was Australia's farmers that were suffering most. After the First World War, Australia had given returning veterans land for farming, but with the current economic crisis, the farmers just weren't making enough money, and many left to go find work in the cities. But for those who remained, things were about to get even worse. Before we get into that, it's time for some cultural exchange. My national bird is the bald eagle. It's a strong patriotic symbol of America and a deeply valued and protected species. My national bird is the peafowl. It's a beautiful creature whose vivid colors represent India, so we list it as a protected species. My national bird is the emu, and it's a pest. Also bloody delicious. Emus, 6 feet tall, 90 to 120 pounds, and able to run at speeds up to 40 miles per hour, usually return to the coast after their breeding season, but suddenly they found Western Australia full of lush, wet farmland. Oh my, look at all this delicious wheat that just so happens to be growing here in large quantities. Hey guys, get a load of this. You know, my, look at all this wheat that just so happens to be Hey, who left this big hole in the fence? Guys, get a load of this. Oh wow. What a lovely morning for some farming. What? Those damned emus, they have it in for me. They're bullies. They're nothing but bullies. Calm down, Bruce. They're just animals. It's not personal. Hey, Farmer Bruce, where did you find that hat? The toilet? Yes. 20,000 emus cost the already struggling farmers millions more pounds in lost crops and damages. The situation couldn't continue like this. Something had to be done. So in 1932, the farmers turned to the government for help. You'd think they'd go to the Minister of Agriculture, but these farmers said no. This is a job for the military. So they went to George Pearce, the Minister of Defense. That's right, Australia was to go to war with the emus. But not everyone was happy with the idea. This is barbaric. We can't go slaughtering thousands of our own national bird. Oh, come on, guys. The machine guns will make it quick and painless. Machine guns? You're using machine guns? This is animal cruelty. Look, I know it's unusual, but it's not like we're poachers turning the birds into feather hats. Think of the benefits. It'll be good target practice for our boys. The government can show it took action. Plus, I can get myself a nice new feather hat. Did I say feather hat? I meant I want to gather chat with you about getting you all some nice new feather hats. Did I say feather hats? I meant I want to wage terror at these emus and turn them all into feather hats. Damn it! Of course, Pearce first made the farmers sign an agreement saying that they would pay for the whole thing and that Pearce wouldn't take any of the blame if the operation, that was clearly very stupid, turned out to indeed be stupid. And the operation went ahead. Major G.P.W. Meredith and his men were sent with 2 Lewis machine guns to hunt down and take out the evil emu population in Western Australia. Target spotted. Well, was it an emu? No, sir. It's an emo. Damn it, Jones. Learn your vowels. I'm sorry. Okay, it looks like the humans are coming for us. But check this out. I've come up with an amazing plan. See if you can follow me here, okay? When they approach, we run away. Sir? You're a genius. Pearce sent a camera crew along with the machine gunners to capture some good old propaganda for the government, and the first battle took place in November at Campion. The men spotted a mob of emus from a distance, so they set up their guns and opened fire. The emus split up into smaller groups and ran in every direction. The men were only able to kill what they called a number of birds, but the vast majority got away. Cut!
A number.
Surprisingly, many of the emus were able to take multiple bullets, but still run at full speed to safety, causing Meredith to compare them to tanks, saying if we had a military division with the bullet-carrying capacity of these birds, it would face any army in the world. Okay, we need to get closer. No, you idiots, not to me, to the emus. Oh, sorry. No. I like it. So next, they tried sneaking up on a large number of emus near a local dam and firing at short range. Maybe the men were just unlucky, but my professional opinion says the emus were magic, because both guns jammed after just 12 emus were killed, and once again, the rest got away. Cut!
Right.
The men were feeling a little humiliated after losing to a pack of discount ostriches, so they decided to move further south where the emus were said to be tamer. And this time, they had a new strategy. Okay, Jones, here's the plan. You mount the machine gun in the back, I'll chase the emus, you shoot. Got it? Got it. I'm gonna shove that camera up your... The operation was a fiasco, and the press had a field day. In Parliament, Pierce was lambasted, and an opposition party member suggested that medals should be handed out to the emus, who had won every round so far. Pierce, feeling quite humiliated, called the operation off, but 4 days later the farmers approached again and said, "Hey man, the emus are still eating all our crops. Can you send the army back out here?" And Pierce was like, "Yeah, okay." So the operation was back on for round 2.
So, it almost sounds like a comedy film, how all this went down, because I knew the military got involved with the emus, but I didn't understand that it was because the farmers went directly to the Minister of Defence. I assumed that they went to the Minister of Agriculture, and then they got involved with the military and drafted them. I didn't realise also it was only one guy and two riflemen, essentially, doing the entire work. That's an interesting one. And presumably I would have thought that they would have employed more people, considering it was a nationwide issue that they were kind of fighting against. Or I say fighting against. The emus weren't fighting back. And that's the thing as well when they're talking about battles, where the battles took place. Is it really considered a battle when you're fighting birds? I don't know about that. But on the bright side, for the Australian government, they haven't taken any casualties, which is one thing. I wonder if they do better in the second round.
And this time Meredith and his men had learned the emus' guerrilla tactics and were much more successful, with reports suggesting the men were cutting down 300 emus every week. I hope you boys are getting great footage of this. What on earth are you filming? Despite the success, the media had lost interest in the whole thing, but with 1,000 emus killed, Pierce finally ended the operation and returned to Parliament declaring victory for the humans. So there were 20,000 emus out there destroying crops, and you've killed 1,000. Meaning there's still 19,000 emus out there. Yep. And in addition, you've burned through 10,000 rounds of ammunition. Meaning you wasted 10 rounds per confirmed kill. That's right. Yeah, I'm gonna go ahead and call this one for the emus. At least I got a feather hat. What? So in the end, the emus won the Great Emu War of 1932, and the emus continued to wreak havoc on the farmers for years to come. The government introduced a bounty system, which saw some success, but for a moment, let's take some time to remember the brave men who said goodbye to their families and risked their lives to take on the great, evil emu population in Western Australia. But even more importantly, let's think of the friends they made, the bond they created, and the memories they shared.
Take me home to golden fields and sights of days gone by. It's where the heart lies with stories on.
Hey, guys? I solved the emu crisis. Really? How? I just made some better fences.
That'll do it. Oh, is that? That's literally the end. Yeah, I mean, that has certainly been the most different out of all the OverSimplified videos. That was way more comedic. But I suppose you're talking about a comedic kind of thing, aren't you? You're talking about the government waging war on a flightless bird, and for the most part being outmatched by said flightless bird. That would be like Britain declaring war on hedgehogs and losing to the hedgehogs. Yeah, I mean, As I said, invasive species cause problems the world over. It's just usually, most of the time, the government itself doesn't declare war on said invasive species, and when it does, it doesn't do that badly. I said as well, in those numbers, 20,000 emus, and they killed 1,000, and that's 10 rounds of ammunition per emu. That surely they could have employed more people to deal with this. Yeah, I don't know. It's certainly been an interesting video, this one. So sorry about the length of it as well. I didn't really have too much to add because I'm not familiar with the emu war. And yeah, I feel like the video sums it up relatively simply. So I think that's probably it. Thank you for watching. As always, go over and support the OverSimplified guys, and yeah, that concludes the mini war series. I'll look towards perhaps doing the Cold War OverSimplified videos next time, as I've got a lot of recommendations for those. But yeah, without further ado, thank you for watching. Go over and support the original OverSimplified guys, and yeah, have a nice day. Thank you. Bye bye.